Boys and girls, we are back for another edition of the Truman Lake Fishing Intel Expert Roundtable. It is the second week of May. Turkey season just wrapped up. Crappie are on the banks. And I think we were talking earlier, if you can't catch a bass right now on Truman, you might want to give up fishing.
Take up golf.
There's some really, really good fishing going on, and we're really excited to get into it with you guys. Before we do, just a couple of things that we always talk about. First, we want to say thank you to Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering down in Warsaw, Missouri. They provided food again here for us tonight. Really good. They actually have an event coming up on May 24th down at the Community Center in Warsaw. The proceeds are going to the family of the officer that passed away recently down in Warsaw. They are going to be showcasing their brand new menu. It's going to be a 6-course meal, several different options that you can choose from. So be on the lookout for that online. We're going to share some stuff at the Facebook page, so you'll see that. But it's for a great cause. So you'll get to enjoy some food, and it'll be for a great cause. So be sure to go check them out. That's May 24th. I think it's a Tuesday night, but I'm not sure. And then on top of that, as always, I want to thank Anglers Port Marine as well. They are located very conveniently between Clinton and Warsaw, Missouri. They're your premier Lowe, Camus, and Phoenix boat dealers here in the area. They take really good care of you, whether it's the sale of the boat, the service. They have all kinds of customer rewards. If you get your boat service there, you get entered into drawings every time you get your boat service there. All kinds of really cool stuff. Great team there, Anglers Port Marine. Be sure to check them out as well. As far as the rest of this video, we're going to be talking about several things. We're going to be talking about the crappie spawn, kind of the ups and downs that it's been here the last couple weeks, what we got left, if anything, on the crappie spawn. We're going to be talking bass fishing. We'll touch a little bit on some catfish, some hybrid white bass, that type of thing. But it's going to be a really good video. For those of you guys watching this on Facebook and YouTube, we do this video every single month with true lake experts. Tonight I've got Darin Lankford here on my far right, Jeff Faulkenberry, Endless Season Guide Service, Brock Reinkemeyer, Brock's Guide Service, and also tournament angler. He won the Toyota Series on Lake of the Ozarks here recently. And of course, David Ryan from Dave's Custom Baits. You guys have seen him a lot, and his baits are really incredible. And we showcase these guys every month. They share some really spectacular knowledge on Truman Lake, how to break it down on all these species. So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube and Facebook, we dropped the preview on it, but if you want to see the full video, you got to become a premium member at TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com. You'll have access to all these videos and many, many more, along with our premium fishing reports as well. So with that, let's get started. I want to start with you, Jeff, because you were out chasing crappie, and crappie's on the mind for a lot of folks right now on Truman Lake with the crappie spawn, and sounds like you got into them on the old spawn bite on the bank.
Yeah, it is. 2 weeks ago, the spawn just kind of really started kicking off, and where we were seeing some of the first fish, it was kind of really backwards. Typically, we'll start seeing those first fish move to the banks, up on the dirtier ends of the lake, up the Grand, and then toward the warmer water's getting warmer quicker, and then it'll start working its way down the lake. And this year, for whatever reason, the first fish that we found on the banks real hot and heavy were actually on the Tebow in some really clear water, and it was really good 2 weeks ago. I mean, you could load the boat, and the trucks were parked all the way up PP Highway, putting in at Windsor Crossing. It's kind of funny. I made the comment, there's so many people that I don't see until the crappie hit the banks. Like jet boats come out of everywhere. Every Cowtown Legend, every inboard jet, just, I don't know. You never see them all year long, and then all of a sudden when the crappie hit the banks, they're everywhere. And I mean, it's cool, but some of them people, it's kind of like deer camp. I visit with some of those guys, and then, you don't see them all year, and then boom, crappie hit the banks, and it's like, hey, how's the kids, you know? So it's super cool, but those fish got up there, and it was absolutely incredible. It was fantastic. But then we got a bunch of rain. And a bunch of rain in a hurry, and the water came up around them, and those fish pulled back out and just staged again, basically. And now, within the last 4 or 5 days, back on the Grand side, these fish, the water, it's got so hot, 90 degrees, water temperature's warmed back up. These fish are just following the water up. You catch crappie on the same banks every day with the water coming up a foot, you know. But now it's got past the bushes. So now you got all this little button bush and all the willows and everything out the edge, but the water's past it. And you can catch some fish on the front side of that. But today, which was, I don't know when this gets posted, but today, which was Tuesday, we put our bobbers away, got our long rods out, and we're actually reaching past the willows and the button bushes into the grass and catching our fish out of the grass.
Wow.
So it was kind of neat.
And it gotten hot, real hot today. What's the water temperature here recently?
71, 72 on my active target transducer, which is really high in the water column. So that's a surface temp.
Yeah.
A true surface temp.
Yeah.
Because my transducer is pretty high for my forward facing. And so, yeah, it's warming up really quickly.
Yeah. That's really fascinating because, last week when I was talking to Richard, some of the other guys, they were back to live scoping in the middle of the creeks and catching fish pretty deep, 15, 20 feet of water.
Yeah.
So, and I know you were kind of doing
I saw
some
him chunking banks yesterday, so.
Yeah. Well, that's what it sounded like. It got tough on the old live scope, and they went back to bank fishing.
Yeah, it did, and he caught him yesterday, but he caught most of his fish on the banks just as I did. We caught some fish spider rigging. We're still one of the last of the Mohicans in the guide life that's still doing spider rigging. I got people that enjoy it and ask to go do it, so, and I don't mind it when the wind's light. You know, it's easy and you don't have to fight tangles and stuff like that, and everybody can be successful that way.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the lake coming up. We saw earlier was 717 and some change.
Yeah.
So it's 11 feet high. Are they cranking water? I hadn't checked today.
22,000. I wouldn't call it cranking, but they're running some.
How many units is that?
Half.
Yeah, that's halfway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Really interesting. I'm kind of curious to see your thoughts on this because I talked to Steve Blake yesterday. He's been getting back out there. He'd been kind of working on some projects, not feeling super well here the last couple months, but he's been getting out the last week. And he had something really interesting that, it makes sense, but he was talking about when the lake gets up really high and it's just takes special conditions for it, and they start really ripping water through the dam. He said usually when they got the floodgates and the turbines going, it'll create a ton of foam at the dam, and that it'll come out pretty good. And that the way he described it, there's a lot of the photoplankton or those microorganisms that get up in there, and then the little fry of shad get up there and start eating it, and then the crappie and predator fish of all kinds will get up underneath them. And he said you can go in there, drop a jig down 10 feet, and just go to town. Is that something you've ever heard of or heard people talk about?
No, I don't doubt it any. He's been doing that a long time. And he's wise enough to know. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's not something I've ever done.
Yeah.
I can tell you, like right now with the big winds that we've been having and the rising water, I call them grass mats. I don't know what everybody calls them. It's just all that brown dead grass.
Trash.
And it blows up in there.
Sawdust mats.
Yeah. Them crappie you can get right on the edges of those, and they're all around it, all the way around it. And they'll be, if you find it where it's shallow enough, it'll be blowed up in deeper water. But if you can find it blowed up in the shallow water, it'll be all around it.
Yeah. So they've been on the banks here the last few days. How long do you expect this bank behavior to last?